Okay, we're in the planning stages of a new puzzle box. I'm going to be using this old cigar box. At the moment I've got very preliminary plans and I've just ordered some balsa wood to do the insides. So I'm going to keep this as a bit of a diary of me making it. Cool. Right, developments on the puzzle box. I've got an idea which I think is going to work. I'll explain it properly once I've got all the materials. It's going to use magnets. And I've started amassing various tools and things. The balsa wood should be arriving today, basically waiting by the door, ready for it to happen. I think I'm going to use a slightly bigger box as well. I found this nice one, which used to hold a microscope, but crucially it has the height that I need. So I think I'm not going to use the cigar box one anymore. Right. It's arrived. Time to do some cutting. I don't understand how I don't own a single ruler in the whole house. I'm a bloody maths teacher. I went to home base to get wood glue and a tape measure, and I'm soaking. Okay, yeah, first actual cutting has happened now. So I've made the first of the frames. This is what one of them is going to look like. There are going to be 4 identical ones of these. The last frame is going to look a little different. So here's my kind of working. So we're looking at the frame here. I've got 4 of these to make, plus one that will look like this, which will go right at the end. So the 4 of them in the box. I'm back to using this box. I'll explain why in a minute. But the frames will alternate, so they'll go here, then there'll be a gap, then there'll be another frame, then a gap, another frame, then a gap, then another frame. Then there'll be a gap, which will be where the catch will be. And then there'll be the final last frame, which looks like this one, which looks differently. In 3 of those gaps are going to be the keys. They're going to look a bit like burrs from burr puzzles. I'll explain once I've made some of those what they're going to look like. But the idea is down the middle of here, there's going to be what I've been calling the lock, which I've got vague plans for. Well, I'll show you again once I've made it. But it's going to rest along here with little bits of wood sticking down into the gap. So I've made the first one, it looks like this. I'm not very good at sawing, but the tolerances here are enough for that to be acceptable. I've got the other 3 like that already kind of measured in and penciled. So I've been cutting them over here. There's all the sawdust. There's the cat who climbs into the sawdust at one point. And I'm watching The Breakfast Club. It's long work cutting this out. It's longer than I expected. But I'll do another update in a bit. Having fun. Okay, while some of the glue is drying, I thought I'd bring you up to date. So I've got glue drying on this one and this one. The other 2 frames are cut, but they're not glued in yet. I've been putting a space in here, which is just bigger than the width of this. So it's the width of this plus some sandpaper. I used this sandpaper here because the keys are going to have to be able to slot just through gravity to go one way or the other. I've got some concerns as to whether they're going to be heavy enough, and if they're not, then I'm going to have to add some extra weight to them. This balsa wood is pretty light, it's pretty flimsy. I also have concerns about whether the wood glue is going to hold these firm, and if not, then I'm going to have to resort to nails, I think. But I think it should be alright. I'm going to put some additional... Oh, damn it. I'll re-glue it. I'm going to have to put some additional frame at the end, I think, like a comb to just keep everything in place. I said I was going to explain why I didn't use this box in the end. It ended up not being long enough this way. So I sacrificed some of the stuff for the height to be able to use this one. When I was doing the designs for this one, with all the alternating frames and keys and things, I had just not enough space. I needed 9 centimeters to work in, and this is nowhere near 9 centimeters. So I gave up on that one. Next thing to do, once all of these are in place, is to do the comb to firm them, and then to start making the keys. And so I'm going to have 3 channels here, and 2 of the keys are the left keys. The other one is the right key, and the idea is the left keys have to all be going to the left, and the right one has to be going to the right. But you can't do both of those with gravity at the same time. But the trick here is going to be that the right key will have a magnet in it. So here's the magnets. So I need to find some way of cleverly disguising the extra magnet on the outside, but when you hold it here, the other magnet will be in the end of the right key and it will be held to this end. I have vague plans as to what to do with the extra magnet to hide it. Since it's a cigar box, I'm thinking something clever with a matchbox. I've been looking at lots of matchbox magic tricks, and none of them are quite the one I remember from my childhood, and I can't find the one I was thinking of. But something with a false bottom? Not sure. Vague plans on that still. Right, back to gluing. The first key is in place now. So I didn't go with the full comb idea. I've just got these bits. It's quite sturdy here already, and what I'm going to do is put just a flat piece of balsa wood over the top. I think that will be a better way of securing it. I've got lots of balsa woods of different sizes, and some of these there's enough room. They're about 3mm thick, and I've got that much clearance. And it will help because it will keep everything else in place anyway. This is the first key. So this one is loose. It looks very much like the framework. And there's two positions for it. There's the position where the alleyway is free, and there's the position where it isn't. And this is just like a little half-length thing here, which will stop the pins going. It does work by gravity, so as we tilt it, it goes into the two positions. So there seems to be enough clearance around it for it to go quite loosely. I've done a bit of sanding it down. I'm going to do a bit more just to make it slightly smoother. But I'm going to have two more of these. The one which goes in this channel will be identical. It'll be a left-hand one. The one here will be a right-hand one, and it just means that the position of this bit and the position of the gap will be reversed. So this one is open when it's over here, whereas the one which goes into this channel will be open when it's pushed all the way that way. That's the idea so far. Cool. Okay, I've made the keys. Now, from the last video, I've made one change because I realised one of my things was a bit backwards. So the original key that I made was this one, which is the left one. Notice that the other two keys, this one and this one, have the hole in the opposite place. So they have it here and here, whereas this one has it in the 1 centimetre along that way. So, although this one was originally in this place, I switched it to the middle. The problem was that this had to be, the magnet had to go on this side, because this side I've got a huge gap here, so the magnet wouldn't be able to affect it here. So the one which was going the opposite way to both the others had to be the one that was pulled that way. Now, the idea is there's a kind of chasm down the middle. Sorry, my video keeps going out of focus. There we go. There's a chasm down the middle, and when all of the bits are unblocked, then we'll be able to slide out the bit, the lock. But as you tilt it, either that one is in the way, or these two are in the way. And I suppose spinning might solve it, but what I've done at the end of this one is I put a magnet in it. So if I just pick it up and show you, there's a magnet glued into the end. The glue wasn't quite strong enough, so I just glued a piece of paper around the end as well, just to kind of secure it a bit. So if we take a magnet outside and we apply it to the end, this snaps into here and holds it. It holds it quite strongly, enough to make the gravity not be able to pull it. And so when you pull it this way, the two right ones go into their correct position, while the left one is still held to that side. There's no marking or anything to show this place. It's just a little bit of box. It's like a secret thing to open it. Next on the agenda is to put a big covering over the top so that these bits, even if you move it upside down, won't pull out of the real place. I've done quite a lot of sanding along here. The aim is to try and get it as flat as possible. There's quite a lot of jaggedness. Some of it I'm still going to file a bit, but actually I don't think it would matter that much. It's already quite smooth, and I've made it so that the ones at the end are slightly higher than the ones in the middle. When I was picking which frame to put where, I picked the higher ones at the ends. So That should be fine. What we need also is another frame which is a different shape over here. In the plans it looks something like this, and the lock, as it goes, it lies flat along this kind of 3 cm chasm with pins going down into this bit over here, and it's got a bit over here which will lock under that bit of the frame, and that will mean that the little latch which is around it like that, as it gets pulled up, won't be able to. It'll be locked on the lock. Whereas when the lock is pushed that way, this will be able to come out as the box opens. Now I'm a bit worried in that instead of pulling straight up, it's going to be in a curled direction. It's like the lock will be following an arc of a circle. And my plans are to do it instead of wood. I've got a piece of brass wire, so it can be relatively thin. I'm going to do it like a hook around, so I can bend over the end of this and have it hooked around, and that should be relatively thin compared with these, which should be able to let it turn, but we'll see. I'm leaving this bit of the box as actual space that you could use. Actually, if I thought about it from the start, I could have made another usable space over here. But I didn't want to push the whole thing too much to one edge, because I wanted the capture relatively central, so it's stronger. Right, cool. With the woodwork and the whiskey and the moustache, this is the most Ron Swanson I've ever felt, in a kind of fabulous way. In search of more tools, I've come to my parents. I'm in their garage. I needed something to cut brass. You can tell it's my parents' garage because there's quite a lot of Green Party stuff. So, crucially, they have a vise, and I'm cutting little bits of brass here using the blade from a hacksaw. Updates on this, pretty much everything's in place now. For the last frame, I decided just to put a piece of balsa wood glued over the top. There's a small gap under here, and this bit I've carved out. This is well, I suppose a less dense balsa wood. It was really easy to carve. The log is this piece here, and it lies along these. And these 3 holes are where little 1 centimetre bits of this brass tubing are going to go. Those 3 bits are going to go into this chasm, and they're the bits which are going to be caught on the keys. So the magnet's still on, but on these 3 bits. There's also going to be a piece of brass coming from the end of here and scooping down and under this one, which when it's in this position, it will be locked. When it's in this position, it will be rescinded, and so there will be a gap across here. From the lid, I'm going to have a separate piece of brass coming down as a hook, which is going to hook round this piece of brass. So when this is rescinded, it will be able to lift up, and when this is pushed into this position, it won't be able to lift up. At the moment, I've got some bits of brass that I used for a kind of steampunk project a couple of years ago that I'm just bending into position and going to be cutting them. So I've also got this piece here which is going to go over the top, and it means everything will just be neat in there, and it fits quite snugly into the box. So it closes with just a little bit of pushing down, which is quite satisfying. Okay, all the metal work is done now. So the lock has 4 pieces of metal on it. 3 of them are just pins, and those are the bits which catch on the various bits of key. So they catch on that bit, and that bit when they're all pushed into this chasm. When it's open like this, it's able to go backwards and forwards freely, and it does that just by gravity. This metal bit at the end goes into this gap over here from the last frame, which I've had to cut down a bit so that these bits fit in. Trying to secure this metal bit onto the lid here. I didn't want to make any mark on this side, so it would have been easy to do if I might put a screw through or that sort of thing. But I put these pieces of wood here just to secure it, which meant I had to do a bit of shaving so that they fit with this thing. So it's a bit of a bodge, but it works. It isn't quite complete yet, because the completed one will have this thing glued down, keeping it all together. But just by gravity, the lock slides into position and out of position again. And I've got the magnet here on the end at the moment, but when that's not there, you've got the 3 keys which can go independently, just by gravity going left or right. The whole thing closes like this, and so at the moment it would just open, but if I tilt it this way, it's then in the locked position. Undoing it, it's now open again. If I go like that, so it's in the locked position, let's just take the magnet off and move it around a bit. Now this thing, tilting it backwards won't work because the keys are in the wrong position. And now that you've seen it be made, you know how to open it. Go that way, which puts the ones to the right. Put that on there to move the one to the left. Tilt it back, which moves the lock out of position, and then open it up. And it opens up. Lovely. I'll glue it together and then it'll be done. Okay, final step. I'm hiding the magnet in the bottom of a matchbox. So I bought 2 matchboxes, or I had one already. I'm using old matches that I'm just gluing down just to get it basically on the same level. And then I've cut the base out from one of the matchboxes, and it's just going to lie on top. And all the other normal matches, I'll glue that down in a minute, all the other normal matches are just going to rest on top. So when you open it up, it just looks like a box of matches. But when you're using it, it will, you don't have to take the magnet out. It'll be hidden in the box. It'll be a magical matchbox. And the matchbox itself can just stay looking slightly magical on top of the main puzzle box. Cool. Right, that's it. Possibly you've already watched the other video that I've made, which is me just showing off the box, but this has been the making off video. I'm quite proud of this. Cool.